This is a Sports Radio Live podcast covering your world of sports. Bryan Houston's Sports Radio Live. It's weekdays at 3 on 99.3 Talk FM, the talk of East Texas.
Because right now on the APEC VIP hotline, cutting edge training for the serious athlete, apecgo.com, we've been dying to know how the folks up in the great Northwest feel about the new quarterback of the Seattle Seahawks, Matt Flynn, Tyler's own Matt Flynn. And with us right now, one of the top sportscasters in Seattle from KING 5, King 5 Television, Chris Egan. How you doing, Chris?
I am doing great, and it's funny, ever since Matt has signed, the sun is actually shining up here in the Northwest for once. You know, I think we had like 30 straight days of rain, and since Matt Flynn is now a Seahawk, the sun is out, there's blue skies. I mean, we're loving life. I mean, this, Bryan, is a town desperate. You're talking about a baseball team, the Mariners, haven't been in the playoffs since 2001. The Seahawks with 4 straight losing seasons. We lost our NBA team. We're desperate up here, and Flynn's sanity is starting to set in just a little bit.
Flynn's sanity. I never thought I'd hear that term. All right, let me ask you, really, realistically, what was the reaction in Seattle when the news came down that Matt Flynn was going to be the Seattle's quarterback?
I think Seahawks fans are just so excited. I mean, they really are. And I think they're using the word cautiously optimistic because we've only seen this guy in 2 starts with the Green Bay Packers. But we also had a youngster that came from Green Bay, a backup by the name of Matthew Hasselbeck, and he did pretty good.
Yes, he was very good, and one can only hope you could have history repeat itself like that again now. What were the folks up in the Seahawks organization saying about Matt Flynn and why this is a good thing? Have we lost him? We'll try to get him back. Chris Egan from King 5 in Seattle, we'll try to get him back in just a moment, talking about Matt Flynn and the reaction up in the Northwest to Matt Flynn going to Seattle to be the Seahawks quarterback. Probably not as strong as what the New Orleans people are feeling right now with Sean Payton being suspended for a year without pay by the NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell today, but still some excitement for those folks. Hope in Seattle, desperation in New Orleans as we speak, and Dallas is Dallas. You know what I'm talking about there. So we'll try to get Chris back on the phone for you in just a minute and try to reestablish the contact. Okay, Chris, we're sorry we lost you. Just wanted to hear what the football people are saying about Matt Flynn and the contributions he might be able to make to Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, I know everybody's very excited, you know, from the players to the fans to the coaching staff. It was funny, they took a poll and nearly 6,000 people, Bryan, voted on it, and 94.6% of those people that voted said Matt Flynn is exactly what the Seahawks needed to push them into the playoff mode.
Wow.
94.6%. Now, of course, you have a head coach in Pete Carroll that loves competition. When you go over to the VMAC in Renton, that's the training facility, he has a big scoreboard. This is always compete, and he mentioned it will be a competition with Tavares Jackson, Matt Flynn versus Tavares Jackson. But I think all the fans out here, you know, that's just Pete Carroll. That's what Pete Carroll loves to say. And as you guys know better than anybody, Matt Flynn has been competing his entire life. So I know he's excited about the competition. And, you know, hopefully T-Jack will push him. But I think most Seahawks fans out here see Matt Flynn as the starting quarterback when the season opens up.
Chris, you correct me if I'm wrong, because we don't see Seattle a great deal where we are. But when I have seen them play, and that includes the game against Dallas, they look like they literally could have been a very, very good football team if they'd had just even average NFL quarterbacking. Yep.
No, and I think that's why, Bryan, there's so much excitement up here, is that everybody thought we were kind of just one quarterback away. And you look at Tavares Jackson, his numbers, they were decent. He had 14 touchdowns, but 13 interceptions. How was T-Jack in the clutch? Well, not very good. 0 for 4 when he had a chance to win the game for the Seahawks. So everybody kind of had that feeling we have to go out and get a quarterback. When Peyton Manning came out, his name came out, everybody's like, we got to go get Peyton Manning. We got to go get Peyton Manning. Yet Matt Flynn was always that other quarterback everybody was talking about. So when they landed the deal, and there was excitement all over the Northwest. There was a lot of worry that he was going to go to Miami. But when the news came out that he was coming to Seattle, everybody excited. And you mentioned the team. They do have a lot of weapons that a quarterback could use. You have a Sidney Rice, who was injured last year, a Doug Baldwin, an emerging wide receiving star, Marshawn Lynch has re-signed. I mean, that's a great friend for Matt Flynn to have, is a hard-nosed running back like Marshawn Lynch. So, and they already have the defense in place. So it's going to be a fun ride in the NFC West with Matt Flynn leading the charge.
You guys feeling like Pete Carroll is the guy that is leading this team in the right direction right now?
I think most fans feel that way. I mean, you're talking about a team now that 4 straight losing seasons. They got into the playoffs, of course, a couple years ago with that losing record. But what we're seeing are signs of improvement, and that begins with defense. Last year, this defense, Pete and John Steiner, the general manager out here, went out and got a lot of guys that people weren't too sure of, but they did the job, and the defense just got better and better each and every game. Offensively, there was a lot of question marks, but you're also looking at an offense that had a lot of injuries last year. They picked up a tight end by the name of Zach Miller, who was a Pro Bowler just a year ago. He was injured. Sidney Rice was injured. So I think if you keep all those pieces healthy, you bring in a Matt Flynn, you keep the offensive line healthy, you're going to see much improvements this year on the offense as well.
And I would guess that the folks up there are pretty relieved that Peyton Manning didn't end up being a 49er, right?
Oh, yeah. There was a lot of worry when that came out that Coach Harbaugh had a private workout with him. There was like, what? You know, and there was reports that the Seahawks had their private jet waiting in Denver to try to get Peyton Manning over to Seattle. He just never came over to make the visit. Obviously, they wanted to make the push there. But you also have an owner, Paul Allen, the wealthiest in football, and he wants to win, guys. He wants to win right now. And I think going after and getting a Matt Flynn was a big sign that this team is tired of the losing ways, and they're ready to compete with the 49ers right now for the NFC West title.
Now, have they had the big press conference and, you know, him holding the jersey up and all that? I haven't seen much yet.
He hasn't done that. He did a phone conference from Louisiana where apparently he was out bass fishing, using his spinnerbait, going after the largemouth bass, and people love that. I mean, they love everything he said, because in that phone press conference, he talked about how he picked Seattle, how when he came out here to visit, it was the coaches that kind of ignited him, how everybody was on the same page, and how he's just kind of a down-home kid with 2 dogs. He's excited to bring his dogs out here and miss Louisiana. I think we're excited about that as well, to see his his girlfriend. And then he talked about his love for fishing and just hard work, and it's what he's been doing his entire life. And I tell you what, we're happy to have the pride of Tyler, Texas, heading out to the great Northwest.
Well, I will tell you this. He's one of the most laid-back guys you'll ever see. If you've ever seen him play in clutch situations, I mean, it's like he's half asleep with the game on the line, you know, and then still, you know, hey, I got to throw a touchdown pass with 5 seconds to go. We lose the ball game. Hey, no big deal.
And that's what, and that you mentioned the word clutch. That's what this town needs, is somebody that's going to step up in the clutch. And you know, Tavares Jackson's a great guy, but 0-4 last season in clutch moments, and those are big games. If you get 2 out of 4 of those games, you're possibly picking up a wild card spot and heading into the playoffs. So that's what the city needs.
Well, I can tell you that based on what we've had to deal with the Cowboys over the last 16 years, I get a feeling you're going to get a ton of Seattle Seahawks fans from East Texas now here in the next year or so.
Well, it is hilarious you say that, because I was over, a few months ago over in one of our cities, Pullman, Washington, home of the Washington State Cougars. I was the first, had the pleasure to interview Mike Leach as he first stepped off the plane, and there were folks from Texas at the Washington State press conference saying how they're going to now be rooting for the Cougars because of Mike Leach, and so now we'll have Texas fans rooting for the Seahawks as well. So I tell you what, that's all right with me. I love sharing a little bit with Texas.
Well, I'll tell you what, it'll be interesting in Pullman. There's no question about that.
Yeah, no question there. And then I understand you're a big LSU fan, so September 8th, the Huskies are heading your way, so that's going to be fun as well.
And all I can tell you is I don't want to sweat as much as LSU had to sweat going up to Seattle the last time. That was a little bit too close for comfort there, so we don't want to do that again, okay?
No, not at all. Well, and if you watch a little of that Alamo Bowl, you'll see that LSU may score some points against the Huskies.
Well, I have a feeling that's been corrected some in the offseason by Washington. I'm just guessing. So, hey, Chris, thanks very much for coming on with us today. We really do appreciate it. And we're looking forward to talking to you down the line about how you think Matt's doing. I'd love to talk to you again about this.
You bet. We'd love to give you updates from Seahawks camp, and we look forward, obviously, to meeting Matt Flynn and having him out here. It's going to be a fun time.
Outstanding. Chris Egan from King 5 in Seattle, one of the top sportscasters in the Seattle area. Thank you very much for coming on with us today, man. We appreciate it. Got to take a time out. We'll come back with Bryan, Houston Sports Radio Live from Dudley's Cajun Cafe in Longview. Back in just a moment.
This is a Sports Radio Live podcast covering your world of sports. Bryan Houston Sports Radio Live. It's weekdays at 3 on 99.3 Talk FM, the talk of East Texas.